Hello and welcome to Kill Count. Today we're looking at someone who is not very good at math,
Someone who committed mass genocide,
someone who cut off people's body parts,
someone who's still widely celebrated today,
and someone who crossed the Atlantic 4 times. This is
Christopher
Christopher
Columbus.
Columbus. Well, we gave him an infamy of 9 out of 10. Pretty much everybody knows who Christopher Columbus is, and in recent years he's been getting a lot of hate for some of the bad things that he's done. So we give him a 9 out of 10.
So originally, Christopher Columbus thought he was a genius. He had a new way of spice. Instead of going all the way around Africa, he decided to take a quick shortcut to the left.
One problem though, there's a continent there that they didn't know about. And so he ended up mostly settling in Cuba, but he thought it was India. He needed to finance this trip to the New World, though.
So first, he asked the English rulers for money. They said no.
He asked the French for money, and they said no.
Then he asked the Portuguese rulers. Guess what they said? Nope.
And he asked the Spanish rulers, they also said no.
At this point, he was out of options, so he just kept begging and begging. And eventually, he was told, leave, but this time with money, get as far away from us as possible.
And Isabel and Ferdinand let him. And so he had to deal with a lot of the natives. He thought they were Indians, but they were actually people that were native to North America and the Caribbean. He sold thousands of them into slavery. He only stopped because Queen Isabella of Spain told him not to. She said, technically, they're Spanish citizens. You aren't allowed to do that. He also used forced labor camps and brutally killed warriors and civilians who stepped out of line.
So let's talk about whether or not he committed genocide in this process.
Yes.
For that reason, we're giving him a 4 out of 10 for personal kills. He was quite involved with a lot of these.
And 500,000 kills for the genocide he did while on the islands. Let's talk about the Columbian Exchange. As part of his travels, he basically set up a trade system between the New World and Europe, whether he intended to or not. And as part of that, he brought smallpox and measles into the New World. And this resulted in about 20 million deaths within 70 years of Columbus's travels.
Take a look at that chart on the right, you can see that the population of Mexico pretty much collapsed. It was brought way down to fractions of what it once was.
On the flip side, he also introduced syphilis into Europe, and the first case happened about 3 years after his first travel. That's a disease that came from the New World.
So that's about 5 million deaths from syphilis alone in just the early 1500s, about 20 or 30 years after he came back.
He also kind of started the transatlantic slave trade just accidentally, because after he died, travelers went from Europe to the West Indies to Africa and so on, and that eventually became the slave trade. So for political kills, we gave him a 10 out of 10.
He found slavery and new diseases.
He also had some creative solutions to dealing with the natives.
First off, he'd take their ears just to give them a little bit of a shock value.
He also convinced 50,000 natives to commit mass suicide.
And he made necklaces out of hands.
You know, when they wouldn't give him gold.
Yeah, they'd have to wear their own hands around their necks.
And he convinced the natives that their gods had died because he saw an eclipse and he used his knowledge of science and astronomy. Pretty peak gaslighting, if you'd ask me.
So for that reason, we're giving this guy an 8 out of 10 for creativity. All these were pretty creative ideas to mess up a whole population of people.
Were these things his choice? The genocide was.
Yes.
Definitely. The sicknesses, though, not really.
Yeah, someone else was going to do it. It could not even have been him bringing the diseases. It could have been someone on his ships, but he was kind of the cause for the diseases getting there.
Yeah, when globalization happens, the sicknesses happen as well. Native slavery, though, yes, definitely. Even the European rulers at the time were condemning his selling them into slavery, and you have to do something pretty bad to get them to condemn you.
They were not good people, and they thought this guy was a bad person.
So self-agency, we gave him a 7 out of 10. The genocide and stuff he was doing while he was there were definitely something he wanted to do. But bringing over the sicknesses were basically unintentional, and setting up those trade routes was basically unintentional.
So what about Columbus Day?
Should we
still
celebrate
it here in America? Should we?
Well, he helped set up global trade and discovered the New World.
Yeah, that's a good thing, but he also committed genocide, spread illnesses all around the world, accidentally started the transatlantic slave trade, sold thousands into slavery, mutilated prisoners, and was pretty racist.
Yeah, so probably not. He also died not knowing where he was. He genuinely thought he was in India for his entire life and died thinking he was still in India. So did he get away with it?
We're giving him a 7 out of 10. He kind of got away with it for quite a while. People thought he was a hero. People were naming national holidays after him.
They literally celebrated him for hundreds of years. It's only been in really the last 20 or more years that people have started to condemn him and really look into the stuff he did and try to change that federal holiday to being Indigenous Peoples Day. So this is an overall kill score of 7.5 out of 10 with an overall kill count of 25,500,000 people. If you look at the global population at the time, 450 million, that's 5.66% of the world's population at that time, which is insanely high. And a lot of that is due to the sicknesses coming from his travels.
Yeah, that's 1 out of 20 people, which is a lot. But then again, the censuses were approximated. It's hard to know how many Native Americans were around before he killed them.
Yep. Credit though, he did set up global trade routes, and that has been helpful in the long run. If he wasn't the one to bring and set up these things, someone else would have, but he definitely gets credit for all of those kills because he was the one that did it. So thank you for watching. Please let us know who you would like to do next.
Join us next time on
Kill Count.